Hi everyone, and welcome back to another Game Dev Journey Short. Today you're going to learn about creating your first scene in the Godot Game Engine. Here we have our Godot Game Engine. This is the 2D view, and we have our viewport. Now the way Godot works is it's all built around scenes and nodes. Scenes are created by building up nodes. So let's create a simple scene and I'll explain as we go. First, we're going to click here and add a node, and we'll add a basic node 2D. This will be the parent node, and every node underneath it will be its children. Each scene in Godot has a root node or a parent node, and you can create multiple scenes, and you can even create scenes within scenes. Now in other game engines, these would be thought of as game objects, but Godot allows us a lot more flexibility by allowing us to build up nodes and then save them as a scene and then import them into other scenes or instance them. Let's rename our node 2D here to player. And so in order that we can see something on the screen, let's add a child node of the player, and let's just add our basic sprite. Create it, and here we have a sprite as a child of the player. Now the sprite can't be viewed because it has no texture. You can see here on the inspector the texture is empty. Let's just drag this image over here onto there, and now our sprite has a texture. Now, in order to group these together so that they move as one, we can lock this little thing, make sure the object's children are not selectable. So if we click on the player and we lock it, now when we move it, the sprite moves with it. So the node 2D doesn't stay in the corner there, or the sprite doesn't stay in the corner and we move the node. The two things are grouped, they move together. Let's add a little button, which is a control object. Here we have a button and we'll create it. Okay, now we have a button. Let's add some text. Let's just use the standard click me. All right. And let's just ungroup it for a moment so we can move the button. Click me. Okay. And now I've grouped it again so everything moves together. Okay, so there's our little button. It says click me. Let's save our scene. So if I press Ctrl S, it says save your scene. It gives it a name, player.tscn, and we'll say save. We have saved our scene. Now, in order to program our player to do something, we need to add a script so that we can code it. I'm going to click on add script. It gives it a name. That's fine. And I say create. Don't worry about what any of this means for the time being. I will just show you how we can make our sprite appear and disappear with a click of a button. Alright, we only have one function in this program. It's called ready, and it does nothing. It's just passing to the next function. Let's add a function for the button. We won't do it with code. We'll do it using Godot's node connector. So if we click back here and go to 2D view and we click on our button and we go to node, these are the signals that our button can give out. One of the signals is pressed. When it is pressed, it can emit a signal. So let's connect that signal to our script, our player script, connect it. So now we have a new function in our player script. Now we could have gone and typed this in ourselves, but connecting it using the user interface is just as easy. At the moment it's just passing on. So we're going to get rid of that, and we're going to replace our function with some code. And we're going to say that if they press the button, or when they press the button, if this sprite is visible, then we'll hide it. Otherwise, we'll show it. So we're doing a little if statement here. Now, the long way to get the name of the node that we want to we want to we want this code to run on is to say get node, and then give the name of the node, which at the moment is just sprite. There you can see its name is sprite. And we can say if get node sprite dot visible. So if it is visible, then we will hide it. So we can then, this time I'm going to use the shortcut for get node, which is just to say dollar and the name of the node, sprite. Okay, dot hide. So if it's visible, we hide it. Otherwise, we show it. Dollar sprite dot show. And we can save this, Control S, and we can test it by pressing test this scene. And if I click, he disappears and reappears. Simple as that. Now we could refactor this code, which means to improve and optimize this code because it's taking up several lines. I've done it this way so that it's easy to read, easy to understand, but we could make it a one-line function. So I'm going to put a comment in front of each of these lines so that they are now ignored by the compiler, and I will show you how this function could be rewritten as a one-line function. We could say sprite dot visible is equal to not sprite dot visible. Let's see if it does the same thing. Test out. And it does exactly the same thing. So this is an example of optimizing your code or refactoring your code. It's not recommended if it's going to make your code harder to understand. But I just wanted to show you that it can be done. What we're saying here is if the sprite is visible, then make it not visible. If it's not visible, make it visible, all in one line. And that was a quick guide to making your first scene in Godot. I hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time.